Today's episode of XIV Reborn is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial and to receive a free audiobook, just head on over to audible.com/Gamebreaker. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 36 of XIV Reborn. Today's date is May 6th, 2014. We're back. We missed last week. Sorry, guys. Been a little under the weather, but we're back. Coming up on today's show, we got new classes and jobs. They are coming sooner than you all may think. Yoshi P gets called a liar by players, and so much more. We got lots to talk about today. There's always good stuff to talk about. Joining me, as always, Mr. Michael Romo, Mr. Happy. What's up, sir?
Doing better this week. You're not the only one who was sick last week. It was
yeah. What's going on? So. It's not like we went to a con or anything. Everybody's got like everybody's got sick. I don't know.
Opposite side of the country, just sick. Just bad times.
Is what it is. Is what it is.
Bad times.
Hey, but
it's all right though. We got stuff to catch up on, so it's okay.
We got lots of stuff to catch up on.
Yes, we do.
I just lost my screen here. We'll fix this. All right, we're back to normal.
All right,
let's stop this. Boom. All right, FU music. All right. All right. There's a lot to talk about. We missed last week, so we're gonna catch everybody up on what is going on. So a lot of news came out. Coming out of the Tokyo Fate event.
Yes, a lot of stuff, a lot of surprises here,
which is a little ironic. I don't think many of us expected that a whole lot was here, did we?
I mean, they literally didn't even acknowledge it on the North American website, so for there to be some important game information to come out of it is definitely a little surprising.
So thanks to Reinhardt,
of course,
give us some live translations to kind of go through and dig into. Where do we start? All right, let's start with the biggest thing I think we have to start with. Yoshi P let it slip that new classes and jobs are coming soon. In fact, sooner than players actually think. Pretty big.
Tease.
Pretty big tease. You said before that you felt that they would be adding these prior to an expansion. I don't know. What do you make of this now? Do you think sometime after patch 2.3?
Well, I originally said, based on Yoshi P a long time ago said we're not restricted to expansions to add new jobs. He stated that a long time ago. But then he's also said countless times conflicting information such as, oh, when we do a level cap increase, we'll do it. And then he said we won't set a level cap increase until the expansion. So, of course, all that information, conflicting information going around. But I've always gone by that initial statement, and I've said if we don't see something by around 2.3, which is, in my opinion, sort of gives them enough time to look at it and then balance it for expansion content, then we won't see it at all. So Yoshi P actually said sometime after 2.3 we'll be seeing it, and we're just going to have to wait at this point. We got plenty of opportunities for him to talk about them coming up.
Especially with E3 coming up. That's probably going to be the big drop is probably, I would imagine it's going to be, they're going to save all the nitty-gritty details for the E3.
Well, the thing is, last year they announced Scholar at E3. So I guess let's start a new rumor, new job announced every E3.
There you go. It's on the calendar.
Rumor confirmed.
All right, so first, the new classes will be based on guns and dagger weapons.
Thank you.
So let's start. The dagger, has to be thief or ninja, correct?
I mean, this is the only thing they just kind of said it's daggers and they let it be. So thief and ninja, I mean, there are obviously people who are hardcore fans of Final Fantasy know those aren't the only two with daggers, but those are the most likely ones based on some other spoilers that we have gotten through the story lately.
What was the story back with 11? Because, I mean, I think ninja's probably maybe most likely. But didn't the ninja class in Final Fantasy XI kind of like not really turn into what they expected it to be as a class role?
it evolved out of their control. When it was initially released, it was supposed to be a DPS, and if you look at the job, they have all of the tools for it. But they also had one tool that prevented them from taking any damage for a few hits. So I think players latched onto that a lot more than everything else. So they just eventually embraced it and made them into tanks. Players said, we like tanking with the better.
Kind of turned into a shadow tank?
Yeah, an evasion tank. Just don't get hit.
So would you think that that's the route that they would take? No.
In any game where you have shadow tanking, unless there's very, very little content that it's effective on, it's either absolutely effective on everything or it doesn't work for anything. Because just imagine being a healer in an MMO and your tank takes no damage. That's it. Why are you even playing healer anymore? Just start DPSing. And that's a really good ninja in 11 could take no damage for extremely long periods of time. And then there was even gear that allowed them to take no damage even if they did get hit. So what are you gonna do?
So what do you think? I like playing thief classes. I like roguey thief kind of stealthy classes.
Yes.
What do you think about one going into 14 at this point though? What do you think?
You know, he said that he feels the game absolutely needs one, which is why Thief and Ninja have kind of been high on the priority list. He says the one major thing that's really lacking right now is a sneaky class or job. But I guess being sneaky is one thing, but it's kind of hard. I've never understood being sneaky in these kinds of MMOs because you're not sneaky. You're just attacking from behind most of the time. That's not being sneaky. You're just standing behind the boss. And stealth is really something that PvE-wise never made much sense to me in MMOs. Like, when you have PvP in a game, it adds another element to it. Yeah. But in PvE sense, it's just, I don't know. They can do it, and it can be there, and stealth can give some sort of bonus. But I guess I won't say it's not the right time for it, but I don't know how it's going to really fulfill that scout.
You're kind of right. In PvE, it does seem to be kind of like, I don't want to say it's always lame, but it is in PvE usually kind of just like you do it because you maybe get an added bonus and get behind the backstab or something for some extra crit or something. But like it just kind of feels like, wow, I just have to hit an extra button for, okay, whatever. This takes me an extra couple seconds because I'm walking slower. Yeah. When it comes to PvP, yeah, it actually could add a lot to the gameplay, but I don't think anybody cares about that. So
not for a while. Yeah. So I don't know. Just it's up to them to make it. We can talk about it all we want, but
are there any other options they could be? Are there any other
Dancer would be a cool option for me. Kind of like the melee of bards. You know, they are primarily DPS, but they have some strong supportive features as well. Those are predominantly dagger users.
Do you think that could be actually a possibility of one of these?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Why not?
We have information. I mean, based on interviews with Yoshi P saying the game needs a scout class, and on top of just some things we know from the main story, it's not Dancer. If it's Dancer, then it's coming out of left field. So I don't think it's Dancer.
If you had to choose one of the three, though, what would you actually choose?
I would prefer Dancer. I would prefer Dancer because I already play a bard, and I think the transition would be easy, and I'd have a lot of fun with that. And I'd probably have more fun with that than bard because I'd probably do more than press 4 over and over again, maybe like 3 and 4. So I would prefer that. But if they do ninja right, I'd be way more excited for that. But I have no idea how they're going to do it yet.
So what about on the flip side with guns? Initially, is everybody thinking Musketeer?
I mean, Yoshi P himself has said the Musketeer guild has been in the game since 1.0, and it'd be silly not to include it. It's in the game right now.
Obviously in the original version of 14.
Yeah. We know the guilds are all classes. It's really the jobs everyone's wondering about. Musketeer just be a gun user, but where are we going with the jobs here?
What do you think about this, though? Because this is like typical Yoshi P. He throws a wrench in the whole thing, and he throws in the quote. He says, "It isn't the class you think."
Then it's probably not. See, the thing is, everyone thought it was Corsair, which to me seems like more of the less traditional way of going about it. It's only traditional to Final Fantasy XI players.
What is the Corsair about? Tell me about that. I don't even know about this Corsair.
Corsair from Final Fantasy XI was they were sort of like they were like what Bard is now in 14 kind of. They were a ranged damage dealer that had plenty of supportive abilities They used a gun as their primary weapon. They could roll dice to give buffs based on the number that they roll. If you roll a perfect 11, then the buff is amplified. And there's lucky numbers and unlucky numbers. They can use cards to sleep enemies, to paralyze them, to slow them. So they were really a jack of all trades, and they had a gun. So they were a really good job to have, no matter what. But I mean, you heard all that, and you're already thinking that's not how it's going to be in this game.
So I give up. Where are we then? What do you think? Where do you think we're going to go with this? Where are we heading with what class is going to get us guns?
I don't know. If it's not traditional, if it's a less traditional gun job, two things come to mind. Beastmaster in Final Fantasy XI was, sort of for World of Warcraft players, the hunter of the game. They were a melee hunter, a huntard, if you will. So I could almost imagine Beastmaster maybe using a gun in this game and going more the ranged DPS route with a pet. I could also think some sort of gun mage, not a Corsair, but just
gun mage.
Yeah, a gun mage. Those are in, especially some of the more offbeat series like Tactics. There's more unique picks that they could take from there. And they've said we're not restricted to Final Fantasy XI for ideas. We have the whole Final Fantasy series to build on.
What do you think the community wants? Do you think the community wants sort of like the tried and true, sort of like the staples, or do you think that would they be happy with going with something really off the beaten path? I sort of feel like there's a lot of classes that are staples in the MMO genre that would kind of fit in before some of these really odd things, like a gun wielding mage. That's just bizarre to me, but. Sure.
Yeah, I think everyone wants a dedicated ranged DPS. Like Bard is a ranged DPS, but because of its supporting abilities, because of its high mobility, it lacks the damage that the other jobs have. It's great to support those other jobs to help them do the damage that they do while doing good damage on top of it. But people want a ranged version of Monk, something that just decimates the damage meters and is that's all they do. That is just what they bring to the table is a lot of range damage. I'm sure people would gladly sacrifice mobility on a range damage dealer just to get that, which is all they really have to do, in my opinion.
But you think from his statement, you think definitely just going to count Musketeer out.
Well, Musketeer, the class, I still think is there. Because the guilds are never based on the jobs. The guilds are always based on the classes, and then the jobs build off the classes. So I think Musketeer is definitely still going to happen. I just think the job is what's up in the air.
All right, so if you had to be a betting man, what would you put your money on? Not the class.
I would put my money on, despite what they've said, I would put my money on Corsair, just because I think even though it would be completely different from Final Fantasy XI, it's a job that they have versatility to build on top of. Like, they can be more creative with it, and it can be more of that off the beaten path range DPS. So
Frontlines is expected to come in.
I knew you were excited for this one. I knew this
2.3. We already knew that from the Duty Commenced show.
Yeah,
sounded like this was going to be 8v8v8. I think we were expecting 10-man teams a long time ago, but I don't remember why we thought that. Do you remember?
I think we were just airballing it. I mean, that never made sense to begin with because the game's always 4-8. It's multiples of 4. But Yoshi P went ahead and said, I don't know why everyone thinks 8v8v8. They said that the only reason they could think people doing that is because within the dev team, when they're testing it, those are the numbers that they have available at a good time. They can't grab more than, I guess, 24 people to get together and really sit down for a prolonged period of time at any good time. And he said it's bigger than that. It's bigger than 8v8v8, which, because everything's a multiple of 4, I'd have to assume is, or even at this case, multiple of 8, 16 maybe, even 16 versus 16 versus 16, or 24 versus 20. I'm a little bit concerned if it gets much bigger than 8v8v8, though, because we've already discussed on the show, PvP is not the forefront of the game. So the bigger that the battlegrounds are, if they're not,
more of a mess it becomes.
It could be more of a mess if it doesn't end up being something that people do a lot. But I guess we'll just have to wait.
Man, you think 16 on 16, 16, 16 though, huh? I was gonna say maybe 12.
12 is good for me. The thing with me is then it would be a full party and a light party, which is kind of strange because I'm assuming they're going to use the Alliance. I'm assuming they're going to use the Alliance system that they already have put in Crystal Tower for this, and they can restrict the amount of people by however much they want. But 8 and 4 doesn't seem as likely as 8 and 8. But they can develop it in any which way they want. We're just doing it based on what's in the game right now and the systems in place. They could develop a new system for it. Who's to say they couldn't?
That does make sense. Here's another really big one. Summoners will be getting both a Leviathan and a Rama.
I call him Ramu.
I call him Ramu.
I'll be that guy who, no matter how many times I see the right pronunciation, it's what I grew up calling him. So that's what he's
calling it. A
do.
Ramu. All right. For anybody out there who does not play Summoner, tell me why this is such a big deal.
Well, it's one step towards having more summons, which everyone in the Final Fantasy, in every Final Fantasy game, you get like dozens upon dozens of summons, and that's really a big staple of the job, is having a ton of different summons to go through. I do want to disclose we won't be seeing these anytime soon.
TM?
But he's just confirmed that they will exist at some point. But it's good news for a creative sense. I just don't know what they'll do.
What roles do you think they'll fill?
Yeah, I don't. We got the tanky one. We got the DPS. We got 2 DPS, melee and ranged. I don't know. I mean, that's what. I would.
Do you think maybe they'll start taking support roles?
See, I guess they could. They could eventually move them into support roles, especially if they're doing that whole hybrid thing that we've talked about so many episodes ago. If that ever comes to fruition, that can make more sense. But I mean, Summoner is a DPS job. I mean, what support roles could they bring?
Yeah, I mean, summons aren't really known for that, right? I mean, summons, they're really known more.
They're known for being a mix of trades. You got some that are all support. You got some that are all damage. You got some that are mixes. But I mean, right now, a Summoner is a DPS job. What could they put on the support pets that will make you want to use one of those over a more damaging pet?
So maybe it's just another DPS option?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm more for reskins. Just like you have a melee DPS pet, a ranged DPS pet, and a tank pet. I'm more for just being able to choose which one you aesthetically use and not really changing much up. Sure, change the names, do the animations, but not make them actually any different. I just think that will sort of separate summoners on an aesthetic feel, which is a big thing in MMOs, is not looking the same as everybody else. Being able to have a different pet that does the same thing, and is still as effective, to me, is the good choice. But if they can make them good and balanced, they can have 5 pets balanced, which they aren't right now, with the only 3, then sure, just add 2 new pets. But I'm more for an aesthetic change, just to
just go on the aesthetic. What in the original 14? Did they have elemental resistances?
Let's not talk about that, because I was on the official forums before, and this is a topic you would see on the official forums, and we don't want this topic. This topic's not good for anyone's health. Short answer, yes. The long answer, we don't want to get into. We'll leave it at that.
Wasn't Yoshi P not really a big fan of those builds where you had to get like specific elemental gear for certain fights? And
well, here's the thing. It's one thing if elemental resistance is needed to survive an attack. It's another thing when elemental resistances are used to completely trivialize attacks, which is the one thing, like in Final Fantasy XI, that's what I didn't like about elemental resistances. If you had 300 fire resistance plus the right gear, it was laughable. You would take 4 damage from monsters that were 20 levels above you, 4 damage per hit, and it was the most laughable thing. Now, if having 300 fire resist made you capable of doing because you don't have a lot of gear, if it made you able to survive certain mechanics more reliably, then I would be for that. But Yoshi P, for some reason, just doesn't seem to care for that at all. And I guess with the way Black Mage is designed right now, if elemental resistances were in the game, being it's his favorite job, he would be pretty upset.
So you don't think this could be some way they're leading back into elements coming back in some way, shape, or form?
No, I would like to see them come back, and Yoshi P has said he built the base to be simple of the game right now, and that's so they can build on it in the future. So I think we could see it. It won't be what us Final Fantasy veterans are used to. I think it'll ever be at that point.
What do you think about summoners like pet usage though right now? Do they sort of need a way to kind of basically make build a little more, say, strategy around their pet usage?
Yeah, there needs to be. I feel like one big thing is you need pets that are better for AoE situations. You need pets that are better for single target situations. That's one really basic thing you should absolutely be able to get down before anything else. And then I feel like adding maybe buffs per pet. Like if Ifrit gave everybody like a 5% melee DPS increase or a physical DPS increase to the whole party, I think that would definitely change up the usage for it. And if Garuda increased intelligence by the party by 5%, I think that's a base for them to start to look at giving summoners more strategy in their pet usage, because they absolutely need it. And that is actually we're going to talk about that.
All right, so prediction time. When do you think summoners? When are summoners getting them?
Expansion.
Expansion.
The thing is that I say that only to be safe.
You're taking the safe route.
I'm taking the safe route only, but I mean, with jobs coming out before the expansion, who's to say we're going to wait that long? I'll be optimistic on that front. With jobs coming out before an expansion, which is not a normal thing in most MMOs, then I'll say that this is definitely on the table for sooner, but at the latest, an expansion. What do you have to say?
You might be right. Now that you bring up the whole job situation where they're bringing those out early, because I would have called those for an expansion, like you said, but now that they're saying that those are going to be out earlier, they do need something to pack into an expansion. I mean, they do need to something like that could take its place. So yeah, I'll go with you. It sounds kind of legit.
Everybody seems convinced it's going to be Saturday because of you, because you're here.
Saturday.
It's got to be Saturday.
Good Saturday. All right, we got more to talk about. First one is take a quick break for our sponsors. And it's Audible. Love having Audible on as a sponsor. If you guys have not checked out Audible, it's audiobooks on your iOS device, your Android device, whatever kind of smartphone, Kindle, iPad. They got an app for all of it. So I want to hook you guys up with a free audiobook and a free 30-day trial just by going to the URL audible.com/Gamebreaker. Just use that URL. Go sign up. You're instantly going to get to go pick a free book. You download the app. And I'm listening to a good one. I know everybody's excited. There won't be any spoilers here, but I do have to play a little bit because it's so good. I'm finally on to book 2. These are so long. Book 2 is 37 hours and 12 minutes. Tell me that's not worth it.
He did not
Amazing
mind.
Listen.
Someone must take his place, and sooner than he would like. He let the younger man settle himself behind his books and papers. Go bring her. It is ill to keep a lady waiting. He waved a hand, a feeble gesture of haste from a man no longer capable of hastening. His flesh was wrinkled and spotted, his skin so papery thin that he could see the web of veins and the shape of bones beneath. And how they trembled, these hands of his that had once been so sure and deft. When Pilus returned...
I'm watching chat room and Dark Jedi says, I just got that book this month! Good. You're finally on to book 2. Book 1 is, of course, up on there as well if you got to start at the beginning. So, but yes, the George R.R. Martin series of Game of Thrones are all up on Audible. That is book 2, clocking in at like 37 hours. Fantastic book. I don't have the time to sit and read through the pages, so I listen all the time. I'm finally on to 2, 37 hours. Check it out today. All you got to do, go over to audible.com/Gamebreaker. Sign up, make an account. If you want to grab book 1 first. You choose that as your free book. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with the R.R. Martin at all. Support Gamebreaker by supporting our sponsors, Audible. All right, so summoners are also getting a bit of pet balancing. Black mages are getting a buff too. I'm sure Mr. Byrne is loving that right now.
I want my bard buffs.
You want your bard buffs?
They're never gonna happen because we already got nerfed once, but it's never.
Wait, let me ask this: since Byrne isn't here, let me ask you that. What do black mages actually need to be buffed?
I'll say they have some disadvantages. I thought
their damage was good.
The damage is good. Their single target damage is good. Their AoE. I'd say the biggest problem Black Mage has right now is they, unlike most jobs, have a period of weakness.
Is it that whole not being able to move thing that sucks?
Well, that is definitely one period of weakness. That's definitely something that they have, because they have one ability to do while they're on the move if they don't get a proc. and that ability is not good. But the other point of they're one of the only jobs that literally because they had that whole fire ice mechanic where they do all the damage in fire and they regenerate their MP in ice. They have a sort of a period of weakness in the ice where they basically put one dot up, get their MP back, and then switch forms. They basically get 2 or 3 spells in a row that just not as much sustained damage as most other jobs have. But when they're in fire, their damage is unbelievably good.
So where do you think? Do you think that's where this is going? Do you think this is going to be something to do with their mobility?
The only thing I can think of is buff Scathe, which is their on the move ability, and to also, I guess maybe extend the duration of Astral Fire, which is their buff that makes their fire spells do more, and you get it by casting fire spells. Because right now, if you have to stop and run around for a few seconds, it's very similar to Monk. You just lose it, and you kind of have to start from scratch again, and it's just no good for mobile situations. Black mages who do content often, they know how to get around that, and they know how to make sure that they're never in a situation where that's bad. But generally, it's the one difficult aspect of the job that they could definitely ease up and would increase their mobile damage quite a bit.
All right. I'm going to say 2 words, and then we'll wait a moment for the chat room to just calm down. Gold Saucer.
Well, they'll calm down in about 30 seconds when they get
In about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. Mr. Yoshi P, actually, we've got some information about the Gold Saucer, and he wants these games to be big. So, P, for anyone else who does not know what we are talking about, can you please explain?
Well, in Final Fantasy VII, there was a giant casino in the desert called the Golden Saucer, and it was home to chocobo races, to a monster arena, to a bunch of little mini games, little common mini games, and it's basically an amusement park for people to go to and gamble all their hard earnings away. And we're supposed to be getting the Gold Saucer, which is obviously inspired from the Final Fantasy VII version, in Final Fantasy XIV. We're waiting on that because it's currently slated for patch 2.3.
So why does this strike such a nerve? I'm watching chat room and I'm seeing people in chat room, and somebody actually jumped in there and said, "This is my first Final Fantasy I've played in the series. Why is this a big deal? Why, what is this?" So why is this such a, why is this held so closely to Final Fantasy VII players' hearts?
I mean, Final Fantasy VII it's probably just because Final Fantasy VII is pretty much been the face of Final Fantasy in at least the Western scene, or probably worldwide for such a long time. And it's definitely a Final Fantasy that it's one of those you either love it or you love to hate it. So it's just something. But I think anybody who's played Final Fantasy VII, even if you don't like the game, can pretty much agree the Gold Saucer is a highlight of the game. It's just one of those things to do when you're you're out fighting. It's something other than fighting something to do and to have fun with and to mess around with your free company or your link shells at.
Yeah, and they did a really good job. And from some of the stuff that we're hearing, he stated that, and his quote was, he was thinking way beyond just come and play a few games with your friends. So it sounds like they're really trying to take us to the next level. He even mentioned matchmaking, which could be huge.
And that statement was what made me think Chocobo Racing was actually going to be here in 2.3, among a few other things. But I mean, what kind of matchmaking could they really have? I mean, I guess let's go into a few of the other things he said first.
I mean, multiple games like a chance and skill leaderboards with matchmaking. I mean, I don't know. This could be sort of the Facebook of Final Fantasy XIV or something. I don't know. No one would ever leave Gold Saucer. They can just hang out there and play games all day.
I mean, especially, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but in Japan, Facebook is huge right now. Facebook is pretty much being integrated, or even just social media is kind of hitting an integration point in Japan where it's just getting added to everything. So this may be that attempt at integrating the more social aspects of the online part of MMORPG. This may be a very, very solid attempt at the more sociable side of it.
So let's talk about, you mentioned Chocobo Racing, which, again, I think just from this announcement sounds much more likely that we will get Chocobo Racing with something like this. It sounds very much likely. But how do you see that working? Like, do you think it'll be kind of a menu-driven experience? Do you think we'll see some sort of Mario Kart type racing experience? I mean, how could you see it working?
Well, I think back to Final Fantasy XI first, because that obviously an MMO had Chocobo Racing. It's very underwhelming there, though. It was mostly more like a horse racing, like where you just go and you look at the chocobos with the best stats and you bet based on, if one has a low chance and you get a higher payback if he wins. That's really more of what it was. And you could do certain things to help your chocobo, but for the most part, it was just an on rails, watch the race take place kind of thing. And if it's just
that 2014.
It's 2014, not 2006, I believe it was when that was.
Exactly. I mean, I gotta imagine we're going to see a little more control than that.
Yeah, I can imagine having things like boost and left and right. I don't think you'll be able to go the wrong way and crash into your friend who is a lap ahead of you. I don't think you'll be able to do that. But I could definitely see a few very simple commands being added. I don't think you're going to be using your 1 through 10 hotbars for your chocobos to beat each other up while you're on the track. But definitely a few basic commands. I don't think I could see
some sort of WASD, with some boosts and running sort of scenario where you're actually interacting and doing something, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
On a track. I would imagine we're going to see something like that. On the subject of chocobos, real quick, stables are going to will be added in a housing item. And you're going to be able to change your chocobo color, and you won't even need rank 10 for that. So that's
won't need awesome. Rank 10. That's +1 for me. Because rank 10 is... You're
going to dye your chocobo?
Yeah, I'm going to dye. I mean, I'm colorblind, so I don't know what color it's going to be, but...
Oh, yeah.
I'll have somebody else pick it out for me.
Whoever picks it out for him, he's probably going to want blue or black, go with hot pink.
Yeah.
Just don't tell him.
Don't do that.
Troll the colorblind guy.
Don't do that.
Nice thing to do.
That's very rude.
On the personal housing front, it sounded more and more like we're going to be getting rooms of our own in the Free Company house. So Yoshi P likened them to the Mog houses in Final Fantasy XI. What do you think about that? Are you just a bit disappointed there? And explain to people, because I know there's a bunch of new people in the chat room who didn't play 11, so they're not really up to speed on how that all worked.
Well, I wasn't that I was disappointed about that because he said we're getting rooms first. He said they'll do the rooms and then they'll do the housing shortly after. They just want to get the rooms out there first to see, I guess, what kind of the demand for personal housing and how much of the room people
everybody wants a real house. They want their actual house.
Yes.
That's what they want.
The part that I was disappointed about was needing to already own a Free Company house to make use of the personal room. Because why? I don't understand why. Why can't you just put it in the middle of Ul'dah and let me go to my in-room? Let me just buy out the in-room and do that. I mean, that's basically what the Mog House was in Final Fantasy XI. It was just a room that you rented and you just made it your own. And by rent, I mean never had to pay for it, but still, regardless, you don't have to.
Do you think it has anything? Do you think it has to do anything with the servers? The whole servers can't handle it thing.
Yeah, it's for server stress. It's the rooms to test for server stress, then to implement the personal housing. I don't know. I see so many Free Company houses right now that I guess they're starting to figure that most people are part of a Free Company that has a house at this point. And I mean, I didn't know that almost all 5 wards were filled on my server with houses. I had no idea there were that many houses around. So there may be that behind it. But because just imagine if there's already almost the wards are all full with Free Company houses, they'd have to add a lot of property to accommodate personal housing.
Oh, yes.
I guess it's just a matter of them looking at the patterns of the game and trying to figure out where to go with it from there.
All right, here's a bit of mystery. I can't wait to see what you pull out of this one. So Yoshi P said the crafters would be getting something to do with salvage.
Salve.
And yes, he stopped at salve. That's where he stopped speaking. He followed that up by saying that he was not saying the word salvage. That was not what he was going to say. Not salvage. So what the hell could he possibly, what could he be saying?
He didn't say it wasn't salvage. He just said, all I said was salve. It doesn't have to be salvage. There's more than one word that could be. And I don't know. I don't have a dictionary handy, but no, there isn't. So
what do you think?
I'm going to go ahead and say it's salvage.
You think it's salvage?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that could be. In all honesty, it might. I have a feeling it has something to do with spirit bonding, which I'm sure they want to kind of bring back into the world. But I just don't like. The only thing that comes to mind is get rid of this useless, crappy gear that I've been getting from these dungeons and turn it into. It might. I don't know. It could be. It could maybe be something to do with converting dungeon gear into materia. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't. I honestly don't think it'll be super useful.
big mystery. He's such a tease.
Just pushing that out there. Just putting that out there. No matter what it is, I don't think it'll be super useful. Especially after that whole amazing materia transmutation that they implemented. Great job.
Is it Fantasia vials? That's what they're called, right? Fantasia? Is it
Yeah, I think they're vials of Fantasia or
vials of Fantasia, or I can't remember. But they're finally going to go on sale in May. So for those of you who've been asking for months how to change,
that's this month.
You want to change your character's appearance. I don't know if they're up and live yet, but they should be soon. Do you know when? Are they up there yet?
Just May, and he said everyone's going to get another free one. I think.
Oh, there you go.
So you'll get one, and then if you somehow mess it up for the second or third time of your entire existence in this game, because existence is all that matters, then you'll be able to buy more. You'll be able to spend even more money on it.
So you'll be able to get those. We got one other last up thing really quick. I want to tell you guys about our deals page. I know a lot of your Final Fantasy players, and you're stuck on one MMO, but I know some of you out there like try other MMOs, and just want to let you guys know really quick. WildStar, which is a big MMO coming out pretty soon. We've got an awesome deal on it. We've got 25% off, so that's a lot of money when you save on both. You can save it on both the standard or the digital deluxe edition. All you got to do is go over to Gamebreaker.tv/deals. Just look on that page. It's right on the front page there. It's pretty easy to find, and that's kept up to date. It's got the codes on there. I don't know how long the deal is going to last. I think it's right now to the 9th, maybe. And I don't know if it's going to stay at 25%. This is the most we've seen off on the title. So if you are thinking about picking up WildStar or you're interested, definitely go check out the deals, because you're definitely going to save. At the minimum, I think you're saving around $15 on your pre-order. So. Not just like $2 or $3. It's a really good deal. All right, so finishing up here, Yoshi P apparently was called a liar by players, since he said the next Zodiac weapon quest would be in 2.25, but they were delayed. Players were saying he didn't have it ready to go, and then Yoshi P actually responded to this, and he said that the quests were 100% ready. But that based on feedback about the starting quest, the team felt that changes needed to be made. So pretty harsh words from players. I don't know. What do you think about them delaying the idea of things a bit if the player feedback was that strong? I mean, I can't really fault them. If hey, you put something out there, the feedback's really bad, and you say, hey, we don't want to put it out. Let's hang on to it for a little longer.
Let me translate this for you, Gary. The Atma quest line. Yeah, remember when they said that based on feedback for the starting quest? I guess we know what the Novus quest would have been like if they didn't implement feedback. Probably would have been very similar to the Atma quest. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank anybody out there who spoke up about disliking the Atma quest, because every single one of you are responsible for that not happening again with the Novus quest. I'm sure you'll still be grinding, and there may even be some RNG involved, but I doubt it'll be on the level that the Atma quests were on. So, thank you.
All right, before we head out of here, there's a couple quick tidbits by your boy Hildebrand.
Yeah.
Happy, did you know he was supposed to be a Lalafell?
I did not know that, and I'm very glad that he's not, because then he would be part of the evil Lalafell army. And I don't want. That's not good.
Yoshi
That's
P
not
also
healthy for anybody.
Yoshi P also teased a hint in the cutscenes that he was he surprised no one even noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed who he's talking. I didn't pay any mind to who he was talking about, but I noticed them. I don't know. It's I kind of knew that they were there the whole time, but it's kind of funny seeing them. You guys should go back and watch it. I can't spoil it.
Apparently, someone walking around the background.
It.
Apparently, someone walking around in the background of those scenes.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil who it is, so if you guys just
all right, we're just gonna leave it at that.
Go watch it.
And then last up, in case you guys did miss this announcement, fanfare, the Final Fantasy XIV fanfare. Is it Final Fantasy just XIV, or is it a Final Fantasy fanfare?
It is a Final Fantasy XIV fan festival.
Final Fantasy XIV fanfare is going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada, in October. So if you are in the area, you start planning that as details come out.
You know what made me think? I imagine an actual Final Fantasy fan festival. All that would be is a bunch of people saying, I hate Final Fantasy VII. I love Final Fantasy XI. Final Fantasy VI is the best. That's all it would be. Nobody would have any fun. Everybody just yell at each other.
Nobody would have fun. Everyone would just argue. Which one is the best one? Which one is the best one?
Best fan festival ever.
We'll keep you posted as details come out. That's all we know right now. But in October, there will be the fanfare for Final Fantasy XIV in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've got another reason to go to Vegas. All right, I'll be going. I'll probably see you there. So if you guys are planning on going, let me know because I'll definitely be going. All right, Mega Poveromo. Follow him on the Twitters at Mr. Happy1227 and make sure to go over his YouTube channel where he's got a bunch of XIV YouTube videos and the flex. Always a pleasure, sir.
Always a pleasure, Gary.
Is that just like meds on your nightstand over there? Is that just like? Is that just the other way, the other side? Other side. There you go.
There's one med over there. Some of those are just some. No, there's two. There's two. Okay, there's three. Never mind.
Yeah, that's like the nightstand of a sick person.
I got more right here, but you know, they're all over the place.
You can follow me at Gary again and follow Gamebreaker TV, and come over to our Facebook page, like that, and don't forget about our deals page, gamebreaker.tv/deals, where we've got WildStar and a ton of other games. We update it every single day with games and hardware. Good one on a mechanical keyboard today. If you don't miss that, it's a flash sale. It's only good for today. So we have like hardware, mice, keyboards, all that kind of stuff. You should check it daily because there's new posts every day on that page to save you guys some money. So we'll see you next week for some more XIV Reborn. Have a great week, everybody.